All right, everybody, new video this week. This one I'm going to do on something that is probably one of the most talked about, most frustrating parts of fishing, and that is knot tying. I saw a product a few months back on a tool to help with the ever-dreaded FG knot. Now, for those of you who don't know, the FG knot is touted as the strongest braid mainline to fluorocarbon or leader connection knot. Super small, 100% breaking strength. Yes, there's going to be some arguing. People say the PR bobbin is better, whatever. They're both incredible knots, but you don't need tools to tie this normally if you're good at doing it with your hands. But for some people, they've had a lot of problems because it's all about the pressure in your wraps, and it's all about having your hands free. When the FG knot was first introduced, people were tying it, putting mainline braid in their mouth, hanging their rod halfway away from them so the weight of the rod would apply the pressure, and then trying to tie in front of you. It was a disaster. So I did a couple videos, one on a handheld way to do it with heavier fluorocarbon leaders and heavier line for saltwater. The other way was using the rod handle and sitting on the rod so that you had two free hands and the line wasn't 4 inches in front of you, the knot wasn't 4 inches in front of your face, which if you're like me and you need reading glasses, that absolutely sucks. So along came this tool, the Knot Assist 2.0, sitting right here. This tool right here actually became a knot tying tool made in Japan. This one's made in Japan. And I saw a lot of people talking about this, so I said, you know what, let me get one to see. I'm pretty efficient at tying an FG knot. I've been tying them for over 6 years now. I've tied them on everything from 5-pound Power Pro with a 5-pound fluorocarbon leader, all the way up to 100-pound Power Pro with a 100-pound fluorocarbon leader down in Panama. The knot works in every combination, every imaginable braid strength, fluorocarbon leader strength, or mono strength. So, will this make it easier? If you're one of those people having problems, this may be the answer. I've never used one before. I just took it out of the box. It came in this morning. The one thing I did notice, to let you know, there is a spring, a spare spring inside the box on the lid. So do not throw that out because this is spring loaded. But really it can stow by pressing in, and then it releases and goes into its full size spot. So right off the bat, I'll say it feels really well built. Looking at it, there are pads, rubber pads to protect your line with basic click on off buttons on the bottom. And the instructions are pretty clear on it. It tells you by arrows which way to wrap your line and which way is shut and which way is open. Really can't get much more basic than that. So I figure since I have tied thousands of FG knots, let's do the first one together with this, the Knot Assist 2.0. And really all I have here is a small pair of scissors, some Sunline FC Leader 20-pound, some Super 8 Slick V2 Power Pro braided line. This is a 65-pound test. Basically what you're going to do is use these two arms to hold your braid and this one to hold your fluorocarbon leader. So let's do that. Here's my braid. I'm going to put the tag end away from me because it just makes sense. That's the way I tie it. So what you want to do is you basically want to take the line, and you can see the way the arrows go. You want to go around, and you want your line to come on the outside of one of these things, and then simply click down. So that locks that in, and you're going to continue going this way, same thing, and then lock it in. Now you're going to need between 6 and 8 inches of line as your leader. And you just need it so it's just taut. You don't need it super tight. You don't want to be pulling too hard because you will collapse this because the spring is fairly soft. There's my main line with my tag end. And now for my leader line, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it down on the floor and leave it on the spool. I do that when I tie FG knots. I don't want to predetermine how long my leader is going to be. I leave it on the spool, I tie the knot, I serve the knot. When the knot's good, I spool up as much as I want directly off the spool. When you talk about leader line, I have FC Leader here. FC Leader is designed differently than mainline fluorocarbon. All leader fluorocarbons are designed differently. Now, this is not to say that you can't use a mainline fluorocarbon as a leader, but what the difference in properties are when you go to a leader material is, you'll know it's naturally stiffer, It's got better shock absorption and usually better knot strength as well than mainline, because mainline has to be supple to stay on the spool. Leader line does not. So they get away with a lot of properties that make leader line better for doing knots. So again, 8 inches of line, let's call it 8 inches right there. I'm going to pull that around. And you don't want to really wrench this in there because it is fluorocarbon. You don't want to kink it or damage it. So click this thing. There we go. All right. So right off the bat, you could tell what I've got here. Looks like a bow and arrow, but now I've got my hands free. I can hold on to the knot assist and wrap back and forth. The way you do an FG knot is you wrap your line under and around and out, under and around and out on opposite sides of where the leader's coming out from. And what that does is creates that Chinese finger trap. So take your tag end, under and around. I'm just going to grab this real slow. I'm going to do it slowly for you. You can see here, and pull, and then you go under and around on the top side, my side, and pull. You go to the opposite side, under and around, and pull. Then you go to the other side. So you want to always grab the tag end. This feels a little bit easier like that. The other thing I would suggest, because I could tell this has the potential to ball up, is grab the knot and pull it slightly in towards the fluorocarbon. That's going to create a V that's going to force every sequential loop to stack on top of each other and build rather than ball. A lot of people get that balling problem, and that usually happens because they're not paying attention, but pulling your line back a bit really goes a long way. Now, because I'm using 65 to 20 pound, I'm going to do 10 loops per side. So that's number 4 per side. I think it was number 4, but for this purpose, we'll get away with it. And as you go, you'll notice that the gap between these two lines holding gets smaller and smaller. What that is the spring is applying the pressure that you need. It's perfect pressure, and most importantly, it's consistent pressure, which really helps in serving a really good FG knot. This will take some muscle memory to get used to. I could tell right away. Like, I got used to tying FG knots my way really super fast. This can be the same. You could tell this knot tool can be definitely very, very helpful to people who don't have. It's all about pressure, right? So you can see here. So here I goofed up and got a little bit of a ball, but if you pull your fluorocarbon and you pull your knot away from each other, they'll straighten out. So we got here 2 more. Okay, so you can see here. Now you have to really serve or lock this in so you can take your hands off it without it unraveling. So I saw in a video that you can actually do a half hitch with your leader line, your tag end of your leader line, and when you pull it in, it'll actually create a half hitch with the braid. So now you can let go. All right, so now that you're at this point, the next thing you're going to want to do is serve the knot. This is how I do mine. I've seen people tie the entire thing with half hitches, with a rizzuto finish, but they never serve the knot. This is when failure happens. So by serving the knot, what I mean is I'm going to release everything. So let me get this out. So that's my leader line, my braid end, my other braid end. All right. To serve it, there are little round cushioned serving tools that you can buy. I just use my hands. I've been doing that for years. Sometimes if I'm in salt water and I'm tying super heavy knots, I'll actually tie the leader line to a cleat on the boat so I can pull back on it super hard. But you want to take your fluorocarbon leader, which is still on the spool. I wrap it around my hands a bunch of times. If you got soft hands, I wouldn't recommend this. I'm going to take the braid, which is right here, and do the same thing. And you want to pull right to the point where that knot gets super tight and small, and it's done that. That's served. That means that the Chinese finger trap has bitten and got a grip on your fluorocarbon leader, which is still really one piece. It's a straight line. When you have that, you can use the knot assist to tie your half hitches, which I think would be easy and cool. It's the same process. Let's go through it. I wouldn't, because at this point it's pretty quick for me to tie by hand. But if you're going to use the tool, the knot assist, This is how it works. I would take my fluorocarbon leader and put it in on the bottom and bring that knot kind of close to it. Okay, then I would take, here's my tag end of my braid. I would take both the tag end of the fluorocarbon and the mainline braid and wrap those in there so that now I can successfully work the tag end of your braid doing half hitches. The trick is you need to do alternating half hitches. So under and around, so this one went under and over, and what I'm going to do is slide that down, and the next one's going to go over and under. And what that does is it creates a back and forth, because if you do all your half hitches the same way, what ends up happening is you actually create a lean in your knot. It'll actually pull to one side. So good idea, alternate them. Under and over and under. And then the last part's going to be to cut your leader material, which you could do now if you want. Or you can finish with a rizzuto finish on top of it. So I've got mine here. You can see what I've got. Okay, so very, very clean knot. It looks great. I mean, first time using the tool. So I'm going to undo the fluorocarbon. Checking from the pads. Okay, so good, no damage to your fluorocarbon leader, which is the most important thing. Undo this part. So Knot Assist 2.0 absolutely works. So let's finish this knot. Here is the tag end of your fluorocarbon. Remember, the other end is heading towards the spool, which you have not cut yet. I'm going to cut this as close as I can. I mean, we want this as close as humanly possible without nicking the braid. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a rizzuto finish. A rizzuto finish is a finish that really will lock in the tag end of your braid, because let's face it, half hitches are great, multiple half hitches are great, but they will come unraveled when casting. So to tie a rizzuto finish, what you do is you create a D-loop, just like this. You go through with your main line tag end of your braid, around the main line, heading towards your knot. Okay, so I do it 5 or 6 times. What you're basically doing is you're sandwiching this tag end underneath a bunch of loops. So you can see what I've got here. Then I pinch the tag end of the braid to the knot, and I unravel what I just did. So I'm basically essentially burying my tag end of braid under 5 layers. Okay, 5 wraps. You can see here. So now the tag end of braid is not at the top anymore, it's underneath. Makes it very, very difficult for it to come out. And then when you cut it, your tag end of your braid, don't cut it right to it. I like to leave a little. The reason I don't mind leaving a 1/4 inch of my tag end is because it's soft. It doesn't affect casting, it goes through the guides. Braid is supple. It's not like the tag end of a fluorocarbon that you hear go tick, 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 tick through every single guide, or catch your line if it's on your spool. Braid won't do that. Your option here, you could take a lighter, burn the end of it and ball it down. I don't like to do it because it makes it kind of stiff. I don't mind when it frays out. It just never comes undone. This right here is a perfect knot. Super small, very effective, 100% breaking strength. And really, if I had to rate this, guys, it's a great tool. I mean, if you already know how to tie an FG knot by hand, this may slow you down. But if you've got someone who doesn't know how to tie an FG knot, this is a great recommendation. I would say, honestly, Knot Assist 2.0, I don't know if you can see that, probably a lot of glare on it, but the Knot Assist 2.0, it makes a pretty nice FG knot. Would I use it in my boat? Probably not, but again, I've got 6 years of experience. If this gets you where you need to be making successful FG knots, I say go for it. For 40 or 50 bucks, it's a great investment. There you have it, guys. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't, click the subscribe button. An amazing stat, my kid actually told me this, was the fact that 90% of people who are watching YouTube videos aren't subscribed to the channel. If you do subscribe, you would get all my videos, and we have iCast right around the corner. Lots of new product coming out. I'm gonna have lots of videos coming out hour by hour the day iCast opens, which is the 20th, I believe. So tune in, lots of stuff coming from Shimano. There's stuff from G. Loomis. There's stuff from all over the place. So thanks again, everybody. Click subscribe if you get a chance, and I hope to see you at the next video.